Welcome to the Dedimed Europark Laboratory in Kleinmachnow near Berlin, your specialized laboratory for chronic infections. You have typical Lyme disease symptoms, had a tick bite, or were on other tests so far negative? We help you to minimize false negative results or the number of questionable findings using modern measurement methods. The statutory health insurance standard analysis has a low hit rate since the so-called round bodies of Borrelia are not taken into account. Our Lyme disease tests are qualitative laboratory tests that specifically address this issue. Doctors nowadays often have the problem that in the patient's blood IgG antibodies against Borrelia are found, but no IgM antibodies. As a rule, it is concluded that the patient does not suffer from Lyme disease, but only the proof of a past infection is present. In many cases, then a misdiagnosis is made, which allows a progression of the actual disease and, in the worst case, not reversible, degenerative late manifestations of Lyme disease. However, what if, with a new test procedure, IgM antibodies were found in the same serum of the sample patient, and thus an active Borrelia infection can be proven? This is exactly what we experience every day. We prove active Lyme disease infections in patients who have been treated inappropriately for years or were not treated at all. We will now introduce you to the TICKPLEX basic method, which we use for this. It is important to know that Borrelia have the ability to change morphologically from the spirochetal form to a cyst-like spheroidal persister form. This is also referred to as a camouflage mechanism. We call this converted persister form round bodies. In the first picture you can see the typical snake-like spirochete shape of Borrelia. If you now add water to the culture medium, the habitat conditions deteriorate and they begin to form round bodies in a very short time. After about 10 minutes, the spirochetes have transformed so that there is a change in the protein and sugar molecules on the bacterial surface. But why is the search for the round Borrelia in diagnostics so crucial? Well, the aforementioned patient with previous evidence of a past infection may not have formed IgM antibodies against the normal surface proteins of the spirochetes, but IgM antibodies against the protein structure of the round bodies. If these are measured positively by the TICKPLEX test, the evidence of an active Borrelia infection would be provided for the patient and the causal therapy can be started. Another component for achieving higher sensitivity in diagnostics is the expansion of the standard analysis using more specific antigens, which are used in the TICKPLEX basic. But where do these antigens come from? In the standard ELISA and CLIA methods, usually only one Borrelia strain is lysed to produce the test system. This can be Borrelia burgdorferi, for example. This test then contains all antigens of burgdorferi and thus a number of antigens that are identical in other Borrelia species. In order to increase the hit rate, artificially generated antigens, such as VLSE, are added. For the production of the TICKPLEX basic test, on the other hand, three different types of Borrelia, Borrelia burgdorferi, Borrelia garini and Borrelia afzelii are lysed, so that a significantly larger variety of antigens is contained in this test, which generates a higher sensitivity when searching for antibodies. The TICKPLEX basic Lyme disease test therefore includes the following parameters. It measures the IgG and IgM antibodies of Borrelia burgdorferi, garini and afzelii as well as the IgG and IgM antibodies against their persister forms, the round bodies. The cost of this test is according to the scale of fees at 93.84 euros, which is, if medically indicated, usually accepted by private health insurance companies. Self-payers can make the test request directly. In 2018, the science journal Nature published study results that confirm the relevance of the TICKPLEX Lyme test. In 509 blood sera from people with symptoms associated with tick-borne pathogens, 13% had IgG or IgM antibodies only against the round bodies of Borrelia, whereas 7% had IgG and 2% had IgM antibodies found exclusively against spirochaete forms. This means that the sera containing antibodies against only one morphological form, the persister form, is detected much more frequently than the spirochaetes. IgG antibodies against the round bodies are found almost twice as often as antibodies against the spirochaetal form. IgM antibodies even more than 6 times as often. Another interesting result is the high proportion of antibodies against co-infections of Lyme disease, so pathogens which are also transmitted by ticks. So that people who suffer from another infection instead of a Borrelia infection can also be helped, we are expanding the Borrelia diagnostics with the search of the bacteria, viruses and parasites included in this study and other pathogens that cause symptoms similar to those of Lyme disease. The TickSafe Co complements the TickPLEX Basic with these co-infections and includes the following parameters: IgG and IgM antibodies against Anaplasma phagocytophilum, Ehrlichia chafensis, Babesia divergens, Babesia microti, Bartonella henseli, Rickettsia conneri, Coxsackie virus, Epstein-Barr virus, human parvovirus, Mycoplasma pneumonia, and Toxoplasma gondii. Thank you for your interest in the topic. If required, order blood collection kits at europarklabor.com. If you have any questions, please send an email to info@europarklabor.com or call us on +49 33203 879 420. Your Team Dedimeet.